And here we are, folks. Here we are at the Elite Four. And after some vigorous training, this is the final team that I'm bringing in to win it all. Let's just go down the lineup, make sure we're comfortable and familiar with everyone that's going to have an important role. Toad, honestly, you've been a better starter than Geico anyway, so you are one true starter. So it was only right to bring you out of retirement just one more time. Next, we got G Mistress, a fan favorite of one of my good friends, Justin. So Grandmaster Justin, watch your Mistress do work. And although G Mistress hasn't seen a lot of shine time on camera, she will definitely play a vital role being our speedster and giving out powerful earthquakes. Now, Oinks, y'all already know how Oinks is. This is basically our special attacker. I taught a Calm Mind and Rest just to be our special sweeper. Then we have Millie, our powerhouse. Like, as you can see, it has everything good except speed. And then Bubba, who is basically one of our most diverse members of being offense and defense, trapping our opponents with Encore and having Surf and Ice Beam for coverage. And then probably the most vital member of the team right now, Chopped. At first, I didn't want to use him, but then I thought Chop can be very useful with the moves Toxic and Yawn. And you guys will see what I mean as soon as we started with these fights. So let's go ahead, take one more look at the team. I'm going to switch Chop in the beginning, because as you're going to see how important Chop is to this team. So let's go ahead and show and flex our 8 badges and get started on the Elite Four. We've gone through a lot on this journey. We also learned a lot. So let's see if all that learning, all my Pokemon skills, and my team of 6 can become the best in the Emerald world. Saving the game to let y'all know it's real. So let's go head inside. For the first Elite Four member, we have Sydney, who specializes in dark types. Now, honestly, we honestly just know he's a pushover. Let's be honest here. Like, I'm not really worried for him. He's just there to be there. But I'll go ahead and show his fight just because it's in the nature of we're just getting started, we're getting warmed up. I'm going to show y'all the strats. All right, so we go in with Chop. Now, of course, Mighty Anna comes in and has the Intimidate, which lowers our attack, but that's not needed. First thing we're going to do is Yawn. And whatever my Anna can do, I know it's not going to one-shot. He decides to use Sand Attack for whatever reason. So, that works. So, next move, we're protecting. So now, it's a guaranteed sleep. Mighty Anna is going to be wide open after this. Now, here's the fun part. This is where we're going to bring our one and only starter, despite Geico. But here's where the real MVP of this team comes in, Toad. Now, Toad has been carrying us when we needed him the most. And as I need him this run, this is what he needs to do. He needs to continue using that bulk up and get ready to kick some ass. And I guess Mighty Anna is tired as hell because he just keeps continuing to sleep as we keep bulking up. Honestly, I know I didn't need anything crazy since we have the type advantage here and we don't have an Intimidate to worry about. So I just went ahead and used a Sky Uppercut up his chin. Well, damn, actually that was up his chest. So you already know Mighty Anna is out of here. And then so is Absol. Like, it's just all dark types. As long as Toad can hit with a Sky Uppercut, we are good, especially with 2 bulk ups. So then, after finally getting some glory, making sure Toad know that he is the GOAT, here comes out Shiftry. Now Shiftry, I go with Sky Uppercut, but actually misses. But here's where Sydney messed up. He uses Swagger. Now this can be a good thing or a bad thing. Although Swagger raised my attack up 2 stages, if I hit myself in confusions, I'm going to take a crazy amount of damage. But thankfully, Toad broke through and hit with a vicious headbutt. And I guess we hit his head hard enough because this goat Toad snapped out of confusion and said, I'm a Sky Uppercut your chin, Crawdont. So as Crawdont is just going up like Team Rocket, that man is blast off. I didn't know crabs can fly because that's where Toad sent his ass, to the air. And then we had the last Pokemon Cat turn, a Grass off, but you already know Toad is the superior. Not even gonna use a Sky Uppercut, just gonna keep it safe and use a Headbutt. And there we go. That was Sydney. Like I said, guys, that was a complete pushover of a fight. And Toad, even though you missed one Sky Uppercut, you still did your shit. And I'm so happy that I had you as a starter and not certain other Pokemon. Geico. Satile. Now, guys, I'll be completely honest with you. This is the Elite Four member that I'm the most intimidated by, because I don't really have a straight answer for ghost types. Finobi is a very interesting Pokemon trainer, as she likes to have two Duskulls that stall. Like, all Pokemon are just there to stall out, basically. I don't know why. Weird moves, but they just stall. But as we start with Chop, this annoying ass Dusclops use Protect. And it also has a special ability called Pressure, which basically, how should I say this? It ups the PP usage of moves that you use within that turn. So basically, as I use Yawn, instead of 1 count, it's 2 counts, which is crazy for me to say PP usage. But hey, I had to explain this to y'all one way or another. So at least we got that Yawn off. So we're switching out to Chop and get into G Mistress. Whew. And as Dusclops hits with a pathetic Shadow Punch, it's finally decided to take a little lullaby. And you already know how this is about to go. Lullaby, go to sleep. Flygon's gonna earthquake you to oblivion. I can't sing, but regardless, you already know how that went. So with an Earthquake and Dragon Claw, that first Dusclops is down, which forces Finobi to go to her second one, which is not good, because I didn't realize that this asshole had Ice Beam. So as I hit that first Earthquake, Dusclops hits me with an Ice Beam, which I completely forgot. But thankfully, since we have a good nature for special defense, Flygon survives. But I definitely have to switch out, because this is not looking good for her. So I switch into Bubba to take another Ice Beam, since she has the ability Thick Back, which halves the damage of Ice type attacks. Plus, being resistant to Ice, that just does a whopping 2 damage. Now, I put her into Encore, so she could keep using Ice Beam to see if I could take her out with Bubba. And as you can see, Dusclops is now forced to use Ice Beam for a certain amount of turns, which is still going to do a whopping 2 damage. Now, as I show Dusclops a real Ice Beam, it doesn't kill, which is kind of a shame, because that means Dusclops is going to, you know, heal. So I get out of Bubba and go back to Chop, because that means it's a free switch in as Finobi uses her full restore, which means we're putting this Dusclops back to sleep. So as I go ahead and use Yawn and realize I have 5 PP left, I have to use this wisely. And hopefully I can take this Dusclops out right within this sleep round. So as it hits me with an Ice Beam, nothing. And the Encore ended. So that means it's going to use another attack, which I believe it should be Earthquake at this point. I used Protect to make sure, and yes, it was an Earthquake, which is very concerning. But at this point, I could just switch out and go into Millie. Now, like I said, I don't have a lot of answers for Finobi's ghost type, so I just decided to hope for an Ancient Power Omni boost just to give me some type of advantage. But I realized this was a bad idea, since I just mentioned that Dusclops has pressure, so I'm only able to use Ancient Power 4 times at most. But from the looks of it, that's all I need anyway, and I'm officially out of Ancient Powers. But Dusclops is down, which brings in Banette. Sorry, I said that weird, but regardless, she has 2, which is why I don't get about Finobi's Pokemon. She uses Grudge, which is basically gonna get rid of the last PP usage of Ancient Power, which I was using anyway. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I had 2 uses of Ancient Power left, and I just used my last one, which was kind of redundant, since, like, okay, that was my last PP for Ancient Power, but Finobi was like spamming Grudge, which was kind of weird. But regardless, next is Sableye. Sableye, like I said, I got nothing. Sableye has no weaknesses in this game, but you already know what we're going to do. We are going back to Chop, and we're going to put that mofo to sleep. Go ahead, yawn at that boring ass double team. I don't need to see double of you anyway. As it hits Chop with a pathetic feint attack, I decide who should I come out to next, because Millie is out of power. So I decided to go into Bubba, because Bubba hasn't really seen that much action. I can't go into Grumpig because it's a Psychic type, and I don't want to take the risk of trying to set up. So I try to use an Ice Beam with Bubba, and Stabilize misses thanks to the tragic double teams. So I try again, and Bubba actually hits this time. Checking to see how much damage this does, it does well over half, which is great. So that means I just need to hit it with one more attack, and for some reason, Stabilize just still wants to keep spamming double team. I guess if Finobi wants to throw, let her throw. But she used a full restore to see if she can be a bit more annoying. It's like Stabilize is not an issue in this fight. He's just annoying and doesn't have anything threatening towards my team. But as we take it out with a Surf, Bubba just clean house. So last is her final bayonet, and Bubba said that she had enough of this. So not only Bubba hit that Surf, but she got a critical hit saying, "See ya, Finobi, I'm not trying to play those games no more." So there goes Finobi, the second Elite Four member, with a clean, I'm not going to say sweep, but Bubba definitely carried her load in this fight. We're doing great so far. Half the Elite Four members down, and we didn't lose no members yet. But as we go ahead into the third Elite Four member, we're going against, what's your name again? Sorry. I'm sorry, I usually pick Blaziken, so you're not usually an issue for me. Glacia. Okay, just want to make sure. As we go against Glacia, we're going to go against Bubba's brethren and sisterin. Sisterin's not a word, Corn, but regardless, she goes ahead and uses ice types, if you couldn't tell from her name. So she starts out with a Celio, which is not really an issue, because Celio usually likes to set up Hail. So you already know we have Chop doing his thing and using Yawn to make Celio drowsy. As the Hail is set up, we're just going to be taking some chip damage, which is not going to be that optimal to the fight if we're being honest. I mean, usually people remember a Hail for making sure Blizzard is 100% accurate, but that's not added in until Gen 4, so we don't got to worry about that. So as Chop uses Protect so I can scope out its move, it's using Ice Ball, which is the ice version of Rollout, so it'll be a special version at this point, but it's not going to do much to us. So as Celio goes to sleep, we go ahead and switch out into Millie. Now, the one thing about Millie, people would think Millie would not be good for this fight, but for one, this Celio has no water moves, which is great. But Millie is a bug rock type, and most rock types in this game is like rock ground, so they have a water ice weakness. Millie does not. So we're able to use a free ancient power with no worries, which makes Glacia brings her strongest Pokemon Walrein. Now, this is kind of scary because it's hard to find any answer for Walrein because it has super effective moves against basically everyone. So, except Bubba, of course. So as I switch into Bubba to tank that Surf, I decided to use Encore, which probably wasn't the best idea because even a Surf isn't really optimal for most of my team to tank. Even for Bubba, still doing a decent amount of damage. So I tried to go for a body slam to see if I can get a paralyzed, but that's not working out either. And Surf's damage is kind of stacking up, almost at half health for Bubba. So I decided to switch into Chop and make Walrein go to sleep, but I just have to survive this Surf. The thing about Chop is its physical defense is great, but its special defense is not so great. But it looks like we're able to survive one more Surf. So as I get this Yawn off, we just have to survive one more Surf. And we do. Great. So that means we can switch into Toad so we can tank a Surf and Walrein can take a little old Lullaby. Yep, you guys see where this is going. Chop is becoming a very important member to our team because if we didn't have anyone to set these statuses, and mind you, I didn't even use Toxic yet because I didn't feel like it was necessary, but that is definitely a last resort if we have to. But you already know what the deal is. Toad is here to bulk up and clean house. As you go ahead and Sky Uppercuts Walrein, just to make sure, I believe I did like 2 bulk ups because I didn't want to take a risk of taking an Ice Beam. This is why I needed to switch in for Toad. Because if he misses at all, he's going to take an Ice Beam to the face and it's not going to be pretty. So as the second Celio goes down, she go ahead and bring her last 2 Pokemon, which is going to be Glaze. And of course, Toad doesn't want to disappoint the team, so he's just going to go ahead and clean house with the Sky Uppercuts, and we can just go ahead and celebrate our 3rd Elite Four win. And I promise you, if it wasn't for Toad just being a GOAT, this run might be a lot harder than we had already witnessed. We had a lot of deaths for a simple vanilla Nuzlocke, but Toad, for being basically one of our first encounters in this game, Toad has been amazing, especially with the bulk up leech seed strategy, which basically has been the same moveset. The only difference is I taught a headbutt. But regardless, we have finally got to the last Elite Four member, Drake. Now, Drake is definitely a little tough since he's using Dragon types, which is one of the most powerful types in this game, especially since there's no fairy types. But if you basically have an ice type, this ain't really too bad. Which is why instead of starting off with Chop, we're gonna start with Bubba. Now, all honesty, like I said, if you just have a decently fast ice type that can hit hard with Ice Beam, or a water type that can hit decently hard with Ice Beam, you could honestly sweep through Drake like it's nothing. But first, the Shogun is pretty annoying, just like Dustclops, hitting 2 protects in a row. Like, I don't know why we're denying the ineditable, but regardless, that's just very lucky of you, Drake, but whatever. But finally, after 2 turns of annoying protect, Bubba finally hits the Ice Beam off on Shogun, which isn't an issue. But what is kind of crazy is just because of that, Drake is already deciding to go all in and send out his ace Salamence, who we base the level cap off of. And as we get hit with Intimidate, which really doesn't matter, all we have to do is just hit an Ice Beam. But as Salamence outspeeds and hits us with a Rock Slide, Bubba flinches, which is kind of troubling because we have to take another Rock Slide just so we can get off an Ice Beam. And that means Bubba is not in the greatest conditions to keep going in this battle, and I can't lose her yet, just in case. But finally, we hit off an Ice Beam, no flinch, and we take out Salamence, which brings in his Altaria, which I don't know why he's not bringing in Kingdra, which actually not resist, but it takes neutral damage from Ice Beam. But Altaria misses the paralysis with Dragon Breath, and we take it down as we prepare for Drake's second to last Pokemon, which I don't know why he didn't go into earlier, but he goes into Kingdra, which could be an issue, but we can just go into Chop, tank the Body Slam. Thankfully, this Kingdra doesn't have Ice Beam, unlike the last gym leader that I didn't show. Sorry about that, but we can easily hit Kingdra with a Yawn as he goes for Dragon Dance. So as I'm thinking, who can I go to? I think it's finally time to bring out our own dragon, who is clearly superior than all of Drake's dragons. So as G Mistress takes a serve, we go ahead and fire back with a Dragon Claw when Kingdra just takes a good old little lullaby thanks to Chopped. Wow, as we get to the Elite Four, as we're finishing the Elite Four, for Chop being my last Pokemon, he has played the biggest role on the team. And I'm very happy that it worked out. But as Kingdra wakes up, he just does another Dragon Dance, which really makes no sense. Considering Kingdra doesn't have a Dragon type attack, G Mistress is basically safe as we take Kingdra out with one more Dragon Claw. But now, here's where things get tricky. Drake pulls out his final Pokemon, which is going to be Flygon. Obviously, having Earthquake and Dragon Breath, I switch out to Chop to try to get it to sleep. Knowing that it's going to be a Dragon Breath since Flygon is out, it all comes down to Chop surviving an Earthquake, because we need to definitely hit it with a Yawn. And Chop definitely survives. I'm telling you, Chop's defense is so clutch. So as we land a Yawn, we're in a pretty good position, because now we can switch to RG Mistress and avoid an Earthquake due to Flygon's ability Levitate. And after taking a quick lullaby, which has been our pivotal strategy in this fight, or within the whole Elite Four, we can just go ahead and take out Flygon with 2 more Dragon Claws. No full restores needed or anything like that, and we can finally say we defeat the Elite Four in a Nuzlocke challenge. As we see Flygon go down, as we soak in the glory, knowing that we possibly have a chance to become Pokemon champions and took down one of the most challenging Elite Four members in almost Pokemon history, because let's be real here, there's a lot of more Dragon type users in the Elite Four anyway, so we're gonna at least say he's one of the toughest fighters in the game. But as we go up those stairs, we know that we have one more fight. We have some business to settle. And I know what your guys thinking. Everyone had a piece. We at least shown 5 members who had pivotal roles, except one. We didn't show what Oinks was going to do out there. Oinks has been sitting back patiently just to play this vital role
because Wallace's team is definitely designed to take down over half my Pokemon, especially since over half of them knows Ice Beam or Water Move, or at least has good coverage around Water Pokemon as well. But as I look at my team, take one good look, heal them up, make sure they are ready, it's finally time to go ahead and become Pokemon champions. And as for Oinks, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm taking the Wiki Berry because that usually just heals the Eater when it's at half health, but we're gonna put in the Chesto Berry. Since we taught Oinks rest, we can use the Chesto Berry to use rest once, fully heal, and then wake up automatically and prevent the 2-turn wait. So as we save, as you can see, damn near 88 hours into this challenge, I have put the work in to make sure I give y'all the most entertaining video ever. So as we walk in, here he is, Wallace. Ever since we met at the Cave of Origin, stopping Kyogre and Groudon, he knew that I was going to be something special. So as we look each other face to face, it's finally time to see who deserves the real title of Pokemon Champion in Pokemon Emerald. You're ready? Because I definitely am. So as Wallace gets ready to battle, he sends out his Wailord, and I send out Oinks. So first thing we got to do, use Psychic, because the first thing Wailord is going to do is use a Water Spouts, which is going to do a lot of damage, which is based on the user's health. So the more health, the more damage. But since we got it to have health, Water Spout's not going to do a lot, which is great. So now we can start using Calm Mind. Yep. So just like how Toad had a physical strategy with Bulk Up, we have Oinks with the Calm Mind strategy. And as you can see, with the Calm Mind boost of special attack and special defense, Water Spout's not doing as much. But Wailord decides to use a Rain Dance, which probably will boost up the rest of his team, which is why he decided to use it. And then he switched to Double Edge, which is not good, because that attacks Oink's physical side, which is going to take a lot more damage. So as we're low on health, I think it's finally time for us to use rest, because now Wailord sees that it's time to switch around to physical attacks instead of special attacks. So here we go. Oink's taking a good old nap, eating that Chesto Berry, waking up. And if I could just tank one more Double Edge, we can get one more Calm Mind in, and we can just do a dent to Wallace's team. And as we take that Double Edge with no crit, we can stall out one more turn of that Rain Dance, which is definitely for the rest of Wallace's team. But as we take one more Double Edge, no crit, it's time for Oinks to go on the offensive and probably have one more turn of Rain Dance. But like I said, it's time for Oinks to go on the offensive because we can't afford to use another rest. So as we use Psychic to get rid of Wailord, it's finally time to go on the offensive and try to aim for the head, step on the neck, go for the kill. But as Wallace goes into Tentacruel, I completely forgot how fast Tentacruel is and goes ahead and hits a nasty Sludge Bomb. But Oinks actually lives by 2 health, which would have been real bad if he didn't. But since Oinks is a soldier, he's able to take out Tentacruel with a Psychic, which makes Wallace brings out Ludicolo. Now, Ludicolo is definitely an issue, but I decided to just use a Psychic because we can't afford it to use Leech Seed or anything like that. Even if I use a rest, it wouldn't have worked out because then we're going to be losing health while the Leech Seed is going to be healing Wallace's team, and we need them as low as possible. But as we defeat half the team of Wallace, he decides to go out to Whiscash. Now, I can just go for a Psychic, but I'm not confident in Wallace's last 2 Pokemon. Since Whiscash is a part ground type, I can't use Shockwave. And I know I can knock it out with Psychic. That's not really the issue. But I feel like I need enough health to deal with the last 2 Pokemon. So I decided to go for rest and take that 2-turn chance. Now, after taking that chance, Whiscash decided to use Surf, which I assume was because I was at low health anyway. Because I know for sure Whiscash has Earthquake, which is probably going to be the better move. But it decides to use Amnesia, which is very bad, because as it's using Amnesia, its special defense is going up, which means Psychic is not going to do as much damage as I would like it to do. So there's only one thing I could try to do. As soon as Oinks wakes up, go for some more Calm Minds. It's not the greatest idea, but I need to at least get through one more Pokemon with Oinks. Because if you guys can't tell, we're in a little situation here. Because
Armaldo is weak to water. Flygon doesn't really have an answer with any other Pokemon, which would mean I would have to risk the switching with him. And Toad will be wide open. And Relicanth needs a safe switch in so he can perform his Young Protect combo. So that means as Oinks gives one more Psychic, looks back at me and the team, we have to watch Oinks go down. It was a very, very sad sacrifice. I didn't want to do it, but Oinks did it for the right reasons. So as we go back out the chop, we're getting our revenge for our Oink friend. We go ahead and use Yawn, and after that, all we need to do is tank one more Earthquake from Wishcash. But like has Chop showed before, I have nothing but complete confidence that he was going to tank it, especially it was over half. So as we switch into Toad to tank in one more Earthquake, we're going to do this strategy one last time for the run. The one strategy that carried us for the moments we needed it the most. Wishcash goes to sleep, and we bulk up as much as we can. Now, we were just real lucky because Wishcash was definitely tired throughout this whole fight, sleeping for at least 4 to 5 turns. As we bulk up and bulk up and bulk up and bulk up again. Bulk up to the point where I probably like misclick one time and bulk up extra just to make sure. Because the last 2 Pokemon that we got to deal with is going to be a Milotic and a Gyarados. And as Gyarados will come in with an Intimidate and lower attack by 1 stage. So that's why I'm using as many bulk ups as possible, and I retaught Toad Headbutt. I knew I should have kept it earlier, and that was probably a pivotal reason why I kept Toad off the team, because just only having Mach Punch wasn't the most vital thing. But yeah, as we bulk up all the way, this is probably like my last one, and you'll probably see the misclick soon. Wishcash hits a Hyper Beam for whatever reason, which actually gives me a free turn to bulk up one more time. Like I said, I misclicked. I should have went for Sky Uppercut there. But as Wishcash goes for a Pathetic Hyper Beam, which isn't going to do a lot of damage because it's physical in this gen, because it's normal type, we go ahead and hit a powerful Headbutt because I didn't want to risk the miss with Sky Uppercut. So as we get rid of Wishcash, there's only 2 more Pokemon before we become Pokemon champions. And Grumpig's sacrifice will not be in vain. So as Milotic comes in, knowing it has Ice Beam, we hit a Sky Uppercut at full power. And it's all or nothing after this. If we don't get this, we're cooked. But Milotic did go down, which is great. There's one more Pokemon that we have to go through, and it's Gyarados. Even though he lowered our attack, even though we're at an even level, this is the final Pokemon before we can go and become Pokemon champions. I look at the team. I think what would be the best option? The best option? We got a Headbutt for glory. So as we hit a Headbutt, it doesn't kill. And Gyarados goes for a Dragon Dance, which could get scary. Now, we know Wallace is going to heal here, which means we can just go for Headbutt. The fight is basically won here if we can kill with this last Headbutt. So as we go for that last Headbutt, we did it. We actually won. We have completed our first ever Pokemon Nuzlocke in history. I can't believe it. Toad, I need to let you know, you have been the MVP this whole time. You did it for Geico. You did it for me. You did it for everyone who went down on this journey. And as the champion doors opened, we can go ahead, walk in, and register our team in the Pokemon Hall of Fame. Even though we're carrying Oinks' dead corpse, we can at least bury him a champion, just like we buried everyone else. Now, I will say, this was very fun, and I recommend anyone to try it if you like playing Pokemon games and feel like you need a little extra challenge or a way to make you use different Pokemon. Because I promise you, I haven't used half this team before. I never used Relicanth. I never used Armaldo, which I know is a good Pokemon. I just never took the time to train up to 40. And I never used Grumpig, which it would have been a shame since I used it all this time and not even use it for the Elite Four once. But let me talk about Chop. Chop is the real MVP. Learning Yawn and Protect and just tanking all the hits I need to make safe switch-ins. If Toad wasn't here, Chop, you are a definite MVP. But thank you for liking the series, especially you watched it from the beginning, and I'll see y'all in the next series of A Pokemon Journey.